All right, welcome back for another movie review. I'm Brandon Reines.
And I am Faizel Gentleman. And what are we discussing today, Brandon?
We are discussing. Hopefully, I watched the right movie, but we're doing we're doing Hellraiser,
Hell
classic
yeah.
horror.
I was gonna make some sort of joke about like the 2022 version or something, and like I don't know. So whoever's listening, just fill in your own bit. I made a funny joke.
Yeah, no,
No, we're
we're
watching.
doing the. I haven't even seen the 2022, like the new one. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll add that to the list. Maybe we can review that. But we're talking about the 1987 Clive Barker classic. And if I understand correctly, whatever movie he that was made from one of his books before Hellraiser, I guess in his mind they ruined it. So he was like,
Yep,
"Fuck that! Like, if they're gonna make another movie, I'm gonna direct it."
I'm
So
gonna
he
be
made
it.
this himself. And have you ever read the book, the Hellbound Heart? It's called.
Yes. Yes. So I was going to ask you what your first introduction to Hellraiser was in the Hellbound book, because I watched this movie when I was a teenager. I watched this movie when I was 14, I think. And then like I did when I was 14 with everything, I looked at the background up on Wikipedia, and that's how I came across the Hellbound Heart. And I started reading the Hellbound Heart, and that's like I spent this whole time like that book started me on this whole like reading. I've read a bunch of Anne Rice after that. I just read everything that was in that weird sadomasochistic like horror genre.
Nice. Yeah, I was probably a teenager too when I first saw the movie. I didn't even know it was based on a book till years later. I didn't even read the book till about 2 years ago. And I actually read it twice since then because it's really, really good. And it's short. Like I imagine it being bigger. It's
It's a
very short.
novella, yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very similar to the movie, other than a few kind of minor things, but it's very, very close. He adapted his novel
Very
almost
well.
verbatim. I guess I should just add, like, what are your thoughts of the movie specifically? Like, thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of.
Well, I mean, okay, so specifically Hellraiser 1, I don't know if I can give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. That's a more complicated answer for me because I like the movie, I like the vibe, I like the Cenobites. It's a very horny movie. Sometimes it gets in its own way because of how horny it is. Like sometimes I'm just like I'm trying to remember where I was just like we're like what's her name? Claire Higgins who plays Barbara? Chris, wait. Julia, the girl who
Julia.
plays Julia. Just sometimes when she's throwing herself at the brother and stuff, I'm just like, okay, calm down.
She is an evil, evil person, which is actually funny. Is in the book, they describe her like she's kind of like young blonde model type, like she's like a trophy wife, super hot.
Claire
Where
Higgins is not that.
yeah, but she's so evil looking. Like she's just like she fits. She that's like such a good job. I think the movie would have suffered if they had have hired some like Hollywood blonde bombshell kind of thing. I think just the
Because she has
fact that
so much
like
range. You can see it in her eyes. She's like
yeah, she's just
calculated.
like scary looking person, which fits that part to the T. And yeah, she's a horrible, horrible person. Which is funny because I didn't even realize till this when I was watching it a few days ago to do this review um, that the guy that plays the husband, like he's like the friendly, nice guy, kind of timid husband.
Mhm.
He's the bad guy from the first Dirty Harry movie where he plays like the psycho.
Yes, he was. He's also, I've never seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but I did note down that he's Elim Garak from Deep
Yeah,
Space
I
Nine.
know some Star Trek people always point out that I don't know, I'm not familiar with that show, but I just find it great that he goes from playing like stone cold murderous psycho to playing, timid
Like,
beta
oh, I'm
husband.
so like, yeah. I love you, wife and daughter.
And just to be like he's just that kind of naive that he just doesn't see his wife's true nature. Like anyone else could just look her in the eye and be like, stay the fuck away from her.
Something's
Um,
going on here.
But yeah, I think the movie is great. Like honestly, that like you're what you pointed out there, it never really I can kind of see it now that you mention it, but it's never really stood out as a
Well, and I
problem
think
for me.
part of its horniness is its charm. Like it is like a BDSM novel, and like the
Yeah.
Cenobites are all so like it. I without it, I don't think it would be the same movie. So that's just like a nitpick. if I was to nitpick. But other than that, like I think it's very good. We'll talk about the sequel in the next thing. I like the sequel a lot more for very specific reasons. Um, but what did you think of the special effects in the film?
Oh, they were like freaking amazing. Like like especially when Frank's reanimating himself.
That's the big one. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like
The
it's like that
dragon
was
is
so good.
okay. The dragon thing at the end was all right, but like I was really blown away by how he like was building himself up and then like from a puddle and then it just like grew out of there.
Yeah.
It was wild.
It reminds me a lot of like The Fly, like the 1980s The Fly, where they just have the goopy, really awesome looking
It's
practical
just all
effects. Like,
dripping and disgusting and visceral.
yeah, and like I don't even know how that like I couldn't even begin if I was hired to recreate that, I would have no
That must have
clue where to
been
begin.
weeks of stop motion. I bet you that must have been like months of like weird, like just slowly putting piece by piece by piece by
Yeah.
piece and like just moving it through. But like, oh man. And then she starts bringing people to the house. So I guess should we run through the plot just loosely here?
Yeah, like I find it's kind of like that's the thing about like the second one, it gets way more into the Cenobites and the Hell world. Where the first one, it's like that the whole
It's
Hellraiser stuff is kind of like bookends it, but the main
yes,
story is just about
this
the
evil
brother who
woman.
yeah, and like in the book they kind of explain it a bit more that his like soul or whatever, Frank's soul escaped the Cenobite world and he was hiding in the real world. And then when his brother drips a drop of blood, that's enough for him to start like recreating himself.
So his
Because
brother was in the thing first. Did you ever end up looking up the extended lore on the Lament configuration, which is the little box that he has in the
no,
beginning?
I don't know any more than what's in the book and the movies.
It's it has like its own whole lore. It has a whole Wikipedia page. I spent a lot of time on the Wikipedia page of
I will
Hellraiser
be
when I
looking
was a
that up
kid.
after.
But yeah, so it starts with him and he's looking for this Lament configuration. I also normally, I'm not a big fan of like when a movie just kind of sets you up and then like goes into the plot and then like hooks you, leaves you with this hook that then like, but this pays it off so well and it does it so well that I have no problem with this, where it like starts with him and he's like fiddling with the lament configuration and then like he gets all dragged into it and then you don't know what happens after and you're just like into this like normal happy family time. And then you find out that yeah, Frank's soul escaped the Cenobite realm and he like managed to make it out into the world and a little bit of blood like starts to reanimate him and then leads to the coolest reanimation sequence of all time, personally.
Yeah,
And then
it's
she
and of
makes
course,
out with him.
yeah, that's I find it hard to believe that she would still find him in any way attractive, and I find it even dumber that he would try putting on a suit and clothes when he looks like it. It's like
I
wait
know
until you got some skin before you start messing up your clothes. But
it was
um,
so, but it must have. I wonder if they just thought it looked cool because it was kind of funny. They puts on like a white suit too, of all things, and it
yeah,
just
it's got
immediately
like bloody
starts
prints
soaking
on it.
through.
But yeah, so Julia, the woman that Frank was having an affair with, he convinces her, "Hey, I need more people, more skin and blood and stuff to fully turn myself human." So she starts luring men back to the house, killing them, then like leaving their bodies there for him to rip apart and rebuild himself. So it's a very gruesome story. I mean, sometimes you watch enough horror movies, you kind of forget how horrific some of that stuff is, but it is
Well, and
like
it doesn't use
brutal.
that much gore either. Like besides the big reanimation scene, I don't think like there's like viscera or anything like that. Like
Yeah,
usually
there's they probably had to be careful with their budget. They probably spent most of it on that one
on the
part,
reanimation scene.
which is funny
Well, what was the
because at
budget
the
on that?
end, remember when like very end of the movie where Kirsty has the box and she's basically sending the Cenobites back to hell. All of a sudden, we get back into very cheap Atari type special effects.
With the dragon, right?
No, but even just when she'll like shoot a laser beam or
Oh
whatever it
yeah,
is, and
yeah,
then they're like,
yeah,
and it'll be like that orange outline, it'll disappear, which is fine. Honestly, that doesn't bother me. It reminds me of like Children of the Corn when it's just like really bad like video effects. But I
but
don't know. There's
it
a
was
charm
the
to it. Like I don't think consider that a criticism of it. Like that's what they could
no,
do
it
at
was
the time,
probably
and it
the
still looked
apex
cool.
of the time. Yeah.
But Yeah, the dragon at the end, that was weird because that was not in the book. Like that was
No.
the book, the ending of the book was different. That weird homeless guy that turns into the dragon thing, that was
That
completely made up for the movie.
threw me for a loop when it first happened because I was like, wait, what? And then obviously I had to then go find the second one and watch the second one. And I was like, this will explain the dragon. Spoilers, it did not.
Yeah, it's still, I guess, I don't know, unless maybe one of the comic books or something else explains it.
Something must have explained it.
But it could be like it just doesn't need explaining. It's just some kind of,
I mean, it's
scary
a
thing that
creature from
you
hell.
won't understand. Yeah. Um, I found like there was the movie, I think it's fast paced. It's like the second one gets way more complex where you're like, what the fuck is going on? But the first one, it's like it's a simpler story. It's just told well. It's fast paced. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it.
And
Um,
then the Cenobites pay off so well. Like I like that they hold off on the Cenobites till the very end, and they introduce Pinhead, who was named by the franchise, who wasn't named in the thing. He was named by the fans, but like Pinhead comes in and like he gives you just enough. He gives you just enough of these weird characters that you're like, I want to know more.
Yeah, like, and actually, apparently, Clive Barker doesn't like the name Pinhead. He's supposed to be called like, was it like a head priest or something like that?
Lead Cenobite or
Lead
like,
said, yeah, or hell priest or something. But it's like, sorry, Clive, his name's Pinhead. Like,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, he was named by the fans, but it's not. Yeah, that's has got to be his name. But yeah, I like that because I know in later like later ones they use them less because we'll talk about that later. But like in part four, Bloodlines, apparently the studio's like more Pinhead. So he's just in
Was
it a lot more. Where
that was in like the one in space, right? Hellraiser
yeah,
in space. God, I love that movie. Which one's your favorite Cenobite?
I I'd have to go Pinhead. Like he's just
Pinhead?
obviously he's got kind of he just looks cool. I
I
like the
always thought
female
the
one
girl
too.
with like the neck,
Yeah,
like she looks pretty cool.
yeah, she'd be my second favorite probably. But I like it like in the I I haven't watched like the crappier later ones as much. I'm not as familiar with them, but people I've heard on the internet complaining that they kind of turned them into like more biblical like they're actual demons from hell, like in a biblical sense. Whereas in the earlier ones they weren't. They were like some other. It wasn't hell like God and
No,
Satan. It was some other
it's something
sadomasochistic
else
world. Yeah, which I like better than they're just like
than
demons.
like
Like
just black and white, good and evil kind of thing. Like
yeah.
it's always nice when they try to do like something different.
One thing they did change from the book in the movie, Kirsty is like she's like the it's her dad is married to Julia, whereas in the book they're not related. She's just kind of like a family friend, and she's kind
Right.
of like just she hangs around the family and has known them for years. Whereas in the movie they changed it to that it's her dad, which like I don't think it's any better or worse. It's just
Yeah.
decision he
It's
made.
one way or another. Yeah, I wonder why that decision was made. It's always interesting to figure out, like maybe some studio exec was like, no, no, it works better if it's like a mother, father, daughter.
Yeah, or maybe it was like this is like a grown man, and then this teenage girl is hanging around him all the time. Like it's like when you think about it, like it might raise some questions, and all of a sudden the guy doesn't look so like such a nice guy that
In the
yeah,
middle of this like sadomasochist, yeah, they probably were like, you're already crossing the line a bunch of
yeah,
times. Let's not cross this line. 14.6 million at the box office off a $1 million budget.
yeah. I guess that's why they made more. I would like to see like the profit of each one. I wonder if it's just like a
It
steady
just goes down.
decline.
Do you have a particular favorite out of all of them?
It does change from week to week. I've always like, especially when I was younger, it was always part three because it just had like
Same.
yeah, it just had like that scene in the bar is probably one of my favorite like horror scenes ever, and it just had the Cenobites walking around the city, and there was new Cenobites, and but it was kind of like a dumber movie, like it was like the
It was
Hollywood
kind of
version.
like A, B, C, D kind of movie, whereas like the first and the second one were way more complex than that.
Yeah, like the first two, like they were just yeah, they're kind of superior movies, I think. And even just like I've watched part one and two just in the last week to do these reviews, and it's hard to pick. I kind of like them evenly. Part two's just got a lot more cooler stuff.
It's got a better, my favorite representation of hell in all movies that I've ever seen, I
Yeah.
think part two has my favorite representation of hell.
Well, we'll get into more of that when we do our review of it.
We will, but
But
for part
yeah,
one, I say is it a 9 out of 10 for you?
I would I would say 7.5.
7.5? I think I'd go there. I think I'd say it's like a very strong six. I'd give it a light seven.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds about reasonable. Like it's very good. Like I mean, I'd say like it blows the water out of like a lot of modern horror.
It
Like
has
it's
some small flaws, some small, tiny flaws.
and there's just things about it that like I don't want to rip into it too much because it's very well done,
It's
but
so, yeah.
there's some just like kind of like questionable acting, questionable dialogue at parts that you got to just kind of live with. Um,
You brought up a good point. I really like that. It's just so well done that like to criticize it is to kind of nitpick because it's just so like,
yeah,
oh well, they didn't do this perfectly. But it doesn't make it all the way to the 10 out of 10. Like there's just some things that hold it back stylistically, ideologically.
and it
Do you
does
think
have it has a very 80s vibe to it. Like it's just like obviously that's when it was made, but there's just something there's some 80s movies that don't they're a little bit more timeless where this one is it's kind of I can't really put my finger on. Maybe it's like their hairstyles and but there's just certain things about it, like little things that just really date it, which is not a criticism. Like it kind
I
of makes
don't
it
think
cool.
well, they probably didn't think when they were making it that it was gonna have this transcending life. They probably were like, we're gonna make a quick cheap horror movie that's gonna like come out, and then we're gonna like Clive Barker is just gonna keep making. He probably was like, and then I have these other stories that I'm gonna adapt because Clive Barker then ended up adapting quite a few of his stories into
Mhm.
films. But like, yeah, they probably didn't expect it to be as big as it probably was.
Yeah, and then it's you kind of force him to expand.
Yes.
He was also not expecting Pinhead because he wasn't even he wasn't named like you said. He was just one of the Cenobites. But just
Yep.
his look, all of a sudden he became the face on the poster of every movie, and he became the main thing. And that's why everyone like, what's Hellraiser? Hellraiser's not the woman luring the guys back to kill them. No, Hellraiser is Pinhead. That's like he's like the Freddy or
That's the
Jason.
whole
Where actually originally he was a small part of the story. But it's like there's just something about him that naturally drew people's attention, and he just kind of, I guess, him and the studios just kind of went with it, and it's like, hey, let's kind of use what's popular.
That's funny. I was just digging through to see if I could spot a trend. I couldn't, but you know the first three Hellraisers are all 93 minutes?
Weird. Wonder if that
Yeah.
was a
I wonder if they did
coincidence.
that intentionally or not.
I would guess that it's just a fluke, but who knows? Maybe it has some hidden meaning to it,
I mean, Clive Barker's a freaky dude. I imagine it would have some strange meaning
or
behind it.
maybe that was like some sort of studio mandate where they're like, it's got to be exactly 90 minutes, no more.
93 minutes, or
And then
we're
he's
not
like,
releasing it.
but then he's like, including the credits, and then they're like, nah, okay, 3 minutes of credits, so
93.
93 total. And then he just wanted to use like every single minute possible. Pure speculation, of course, but
Oh, we should at the end of the Hellraiser series, we should then look into Nightbreed, which was his other like
yeah, I freaking love Night. And one thing I
that
like about it is that it takes place in Alberta, and they mention Calgary, they mention Edmonton, like it takes place in where we live.
does it
So
really? I forget that.
yeah, they're like they talk about Edmonton, they talk about Calgary, and like other little towns that like where we know of. So
Well, David
um,
Cronenberg has a cameo in it, right? I think
yeah, I think did he direct it or did Clive Barker direct it himself?
Clive Barker directed it
Okay, yeah,
after Hellraiser 2. I think like after Hellraiser 2 came out, he directed that. That was his like I think he's only ever directed. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now, but he's only ever directed three films. He's directed Hellraiser, Nightbreed, and Lord of Illusions,
oh
which
yeah.
I never saw.
I saw that when it came out when I was a teenager. I'd say up to Hellraiser 4, we can do reviews of each one. After that, we might just have to do like
A
all of them
super
in
cut of
one.
all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched Deader the other day because I hadn't seen that since it came out.
Is that
And
8 or something?
yeah, I think it's the eighth one. I really don't want to have to sit through some of those again. Um,
Okay, well we'll
but
have to
we'll
check out the
see.
new one.
we'll see. But yeah, the new one, yeah, when am I doing that? Because I haven't seen it yet, so I'll be going in completely fresh on that. But I guess we'll just kind of see. There's a limit to how much I want to sacrifice for this YouTube channel, and having to sit through really bad movies for a second or third time. Yeah. So we'll see how we're feeling. But
Maybe we'll do a live watch of that. Maybe we'll figure this out,
I might
folks.
be
Maybe
down
we'll
for
do some
that.
streaming.
It's kind of a new world to me. I like making things and editing out all the stuff that I don't want to that I regret saying. So streaming will be a new experience for me.
Completely unfiltered.
Yeah. So you give it say soft 7. I give it 7.5 for Hellraiser. And if anyone watching this is interested in has a particular movie they want to see us do a review discussion of, let
Comment
us know.
it.
Comment it, and we just might do it.
We might, or we might not. But
We
either
might
way,
not.
you should comment it.
All right. So for our next video, we'll be reviewing Hellraiser 2. So come back for that. And until then, we'll see everyone later.
See ya, folks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brandon Rhinus.
Hi, I am Faizel.
And do you have a last name, Faizel?
I got a last name. I don't use it very often. I am Faizel John Moment.
Faisal, just like Elvis, just known by his first name.
Exactly. Mononym.
Well, I never use your first name. If I mention Faisal, everyone know they're not like, who's that?
Yeah, I know. There's like 6 of us.
So what movie are we reviewing today?
Hellraiser 2. I didn't know it had the tagline Hellbound. Or actually, I guess it's Hellbound : Hellraiser 2.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
like they gave it something to separate it.
I guess I always hate when they put it in front of the movie. Like let me think. Like First Blood, Rambo 2. Was that what it was called?
Yeah, that is kind of weird. And then it was like Rambo 3, so
Put
they
it
got rid of the whole
after
First Blood. But then the
Yeah.
First Blood came back again with Part 5. It was like Last Blood, and then the fourth one was just called Rambo.
Just put it after. It can be Hellraiser 2, Hellbound.
But funny enough, I was actually gonna use that for Grotesque 2. Because there is like a Japanese movie called Grotesque. It's pretty famous. There's also like a Linda Blair 80s movie called Grotesque. So I was like, I wanted to change the title to like Mildred. So it was going to be Mildred Grotesque 2. But then after a while, I was like, you know what? I don't really like that. So I'm just going to call it Grotesque 2.
Yeah, whatever. You're in good company.
Yeah. So what are your first thoughts on
Hellraiser 2?
2?
Oh, let me think. Because I wouldn't say this is my favorite Hellraiser movie, but it is my favorite depiction of hell in any movie ever. It's much less horny than the first movie. Much less. I'm trying to think of any big takeaways that I've had. I've seen this movie so many times. This is one of those ones that gets a lot of replay for me over the years. So like I know it inside and out. I love all the plot points. I love the little girl in there. I love most of the special effects and everything. Just generally based on how many times I've watched it, I'd say this is a 9 for me.
I'd probably give it a 7.5, the same as the first Hellraiser, but it's weird because it's like a different 7.5. It's like I like some things better, some things I don't like as much, but it evens out to like overall quality. I give it the same score.
Fair enough, I get it. I guess let's start with what things didn't you like about it?
There's not a lot I didn't like. It just some of it got a bit like the first one was a bit more straightforward. This one it got into it seems more, especially when they go into the hell world, it kind of got into just freaky looking imagery for the sake of like having something scary. So she's going through like her childhood home kind of thing. There's stuff like that. It doesn't really fit in the story. It's just, hey, they're in hell. They can do whatever they want, so they could just
Yeah,
film
it's
any
just there
sort
for
of
kind of jump scare.
Yeah. It wasn't so much jump scare. It was
Or
just like
atmosphere per se.
it's like it's like atmosphere. And they just kind of went on for quite a while of just, and it was all interesting looking. But I just find that like on repeated viewings, I kind of just want to get past that and get on to like the more cool
The rest
story
of the
stuff.
plot. Well, I guess we should also mention that this wasn't directed by Clive Barker.
No, who directed this? I didn't even.
Tony Randall.
Tony
I
Randall.
know that from The Simpsons. That's the only reason I know Tony Randall. Let's look through his like discography here or filmography. Oh, he did Fist of the North Star. Did you ever see the live action movie
No.
North Star? It's all right. I see there's a movie here called Shark Kansas Women's Prison Massacre,
Okay, sounds classic.
2016. And then after that was A Doggone Christmas and A Doggone Hollywood.
Hmm. I've noticed there's quite a few directors that they kind of started out promising and with some cool movies, and then later all their it's like, Air Bud and all these like,
I guess at the
animal
time it's
movies.
like what movie you could what who's paying you money to make the movie, I guess, because
Yeah.
yeah, that's sad.
But yeah, overall there was a lot of cool stuff about the movie. It had some like great gore in it.
It
They
did.
did there were some things that like I don't quite get. Like in the first movie, it took like multiple murders and dead bodies for Frank to resurrect himself. But also in this one, it just took
Like
one
one,
body
and
for
Julia's
Julia
back.
to fully come back, and it's like maybe she wasn't totally ripped apart, so it's like she didn't need to rebuild herself as much. Maybe there's some excuse like that, but that scene was pretty cool with her like crawling around all slimy and bloody on the ground. Like was pretty
Uh,
messed up.
oh man, yeah, a lot of it is really good. When Kirsty Swanson like she wakes up and like she's remembering like the "Help me, I am in hell." Um,
Mm,
that's still always going to be good visual. Like that's it's so creepy. It's so like the concept of it is so creepy. And Julia is like the actress. So I think the actress I read, she didn't want to come back. It's funny how the plot of this film was influenced a lot by like cast who could or couldn't come back. Because like they wanted to bring the guy who played Frank's brother. I forget his name right now.
yeah, the
Um,
dad.
they wanted to bring him back for the sequel, and like they couldn't make it work one way or another, so he ended up getting cut. And then Julia, this was the last movie, and she was like, after that, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and so they had to write her out of it. Um, but like, man, does she do a good job in this? I think she's the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, even she's just walking around that dude's house with when she's all got no skin on and like leaving bloody footprints on the ground. There's
Such
so
cool
many.
imagery.
I think that was the part. Like I saw it when I was like a teenager, and I didn't see it for like quite a few years. But that was like the one scene, like that and the hell were like the two parts that were like vividly imprinted on
Yeah.
my brain. Um, is just her doing that, but like all the characters are good too. Like that, like the Doctor Chenard, like
Dr.
it's
Chenard, yeah, he's good.
he's he's like a doctor, but he's just into like really twisted shit. So when he finds
He's
out about
so
like
crazy.
the whole thing, like he just like he basically wants to become a Cenobite kind of thing, and it's kind of cool. We actually get to like see how he get turned into a Cenobite, and it's like wow, that's very creative. It's like a chamber thing, and a thing sticks to their head, and then it just like mutilates them somehow. And
I assume it's well, actually, now this is a good question I guess I can ask you. I assumed it's the same mechanism for all the Cenobites, but they get different like traits put upon them based on like what they were into in their
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Do you
that's what
think it's
they.
like do you think it's a unique experience per, or do you think it's like a set thing? Because yeah,
I think it's just kind of like whatever it seems like whatever your like major flaw is in real life, like especially at the end of this movie when the three Cenobites are killed and you see them return to their human form. It's like the Chatterer is like a little kid, like he probably just like talked too much. So it's just like now you're like the big fat guy was just a big fat guy. So I guess he just
yes, the
like ate
glutton.
too much. So it's like, oh yeah, that's how we'll punish you. It kind of changes in part three, which we'll review next. Because that one, it's like the DJ has like CDs in his head, but that's not really a flaw. That's just more like your
What
occupation
he's
during your
into.
life.
Well, it
Um,
changes from movie to movie, I find. The internal lore of what happens like changes every movie. Would you say?
yeah, it's kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street series where they just make up the rules for each movie as they go, and it doesn't really make sense. But I haven't seen like the three newest Hellraisers, like the two without Doug Bradley and then the remake. I haven't even seen them yet. Part of the lore is like there is like politics and things going on like behind the scenes. So it could be that like the rules change because they change the rules. I mean, like it's not like it's like a metaphysical thing or it's just like set in stone. It's like they could just change or maybe Pinhead came back and he's like in part three he has more power, so he's like, I'm gonna make my own Cenobites and I can make them whatever the hell I want, and so so
Well, they
um
also have the comic books and the books, right?
yeah, I've read the first book. I tried reading was it called the Scarlet something, the sequel to
Yeah,
Hellraiser. I tried reading it. I just I didn't like it,
didn't
which
get
sucked because
into it.
I loved the first book. I read it like twice in a row. Um, but I tried reading one of the graphic novels and I just found it not very well written. But then I heard that there's other ones that are good, so
They're
maybe I should
better.
give more of them a
Interesting.
chance.
I mean, hey, if you ever want to see us review some comic books, let us know. I'd love to pick up that comic book and check it out.
Yeah, like the depiction of hell, you're right. It's like it's very, and it's not like fire, brimstone, devil hell. It's like some other sort of
It makes
world.
me think a lot of, I'm trying desperately right now to remember the movie. I think, was it called From Beyond? Let me Google this up here. Yes, with Barbara Crampton. Did you ever see those movies, From Beyond, and
No.
then I forget the sequel. It's like H.P. Lovecraft, Reanimator.
Yeah,
Reanimator was the
I watched
first one, and then
Reanimator last
from
night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Reanimator, and then From Beyond is kind of like a pseudo sequel. But like these movies remind me a lot of the world in that movie, you know? Would
Yeah,
you agree?
it has that vibe. It has part of it like it's like the hell world. It has a bit. It's like the movie Labyrinth. It's like a dark version of Labyrinth. And part of it for some reason reminds me of Tron, just like that. Like you're in a weird '80s special effects sci-fi world.
Yeah, because of how flat it is, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just like it's kind of like a big matte painting kind of thing.
Yes.
It's just like it just has a bit of that. Like it reminds me of that, but it looks cool. I like that their god or whatever it is like a big like
Leviathan.
diamond shaped
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
The
diamond.
Leviathan.
They call Leviathan in the thing. And like when I was a kid, I started looking into Leviathan and I was like, what the heck is this all about? And like, man, there's some cool imagery out there. But
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's so simple and so like, because I've seen Leviathan painted in all sorts of different ways, dragons and like devils. But like that one, I don't know why it's so simple and it works so well.
and it doesn't like he doesn't talk or anything. Like I'm
Oh, it
glad
just
they did
shoots out
that.
a laser beam at one point, right?
Yeah, like or like the little blue lasers. I'm glad they did that versus like some sort of entity that like spoke. That would have been
It
too
would have
like
cheapened it a
cheesy.
little bit.
Yeah. And then yeah, there's like all the little corridors, which we kind of saw in the first one. So you see the Cenobites in there, and there's different like chambers you can go in, and then she runs into Uncle Frank. So it's kind of like I guess there are people trapped in there, and I guess
Have
that's how Frank's in the first movie somehow found his way out of there at the beginning.
to like the little doors and the little like tunnels.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen like I fell into a YouTube hole a while back about biblically accurate angels. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I don't think so.
They are so metal, and it also makes me think of the Hellraiser world, where like if you look at like people have done illustrations of angels, because angels always show up and be like, "Be not afraid," but
Yeah.
like there's a reason why they're like, "Be not afraid," because like they look insane, like description from the Bible and yada yada yada. Some of those angels look nuts. And
Hmm.
like it's this but simple. Like one of them is a circle inside of a circle and covered in eyes. And it makes me think of Leviathan a lot from the thing where it's like it looks crazy, but it's also so simple.
And I'm glad it's like I think the movie almost benefited from just the era it came out where they had some kind of okay effects, but it wasn't
They were
modern
they
because
were
now
yeah,
they
they
can
were
do whatever you
constrained.
want. They would have
Yeah.
taken it to extremes and just like the whole world would have been crazy looking and
Just
it's like
zombies everywhere and like little
yeah.
demons and stuff. Like the fact that they were constrained. Well, it's also like to tie it to another movie. Did you ever see Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer?
No, that's what it's on my list. I just never gotten around to seeing it.
So, fun fact about that movie, they never actually show any kills in that movie. What they do to show the kills is because they didn't have any budget to actually because you know better than anyone else. It's expensive to film a kill. So they didn't really have any budget to film these kills. So instead, they just have the woman who they kill like lying there, throat slashed open or something, and then they play you the audio of the killing happening while she's lying there dead, and then they just like pan over the person and like They let you imagine what's happening like for the kill. And like it's such an inventive and cool way to show like a serial killer and so creepy, but like it was purely because they didn't have the budget to film the full kills.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
those
it's
cool
like
little constraints that pull you in, but then make it like the hallmark of the movie where you're like, that's why it's cool.
yeah, exactly. There's so many movies like that I think benefited from some sort of restraint. It's kind of like it's kind of like being spoiled. It's like once you can buy every toy you've ever wanted, all of a sudden you appreciate it less and it's not as fun. Whereas when you just have less, it's like you appreciate what you have. And that's why maybe that's why like older movies from those eras just kind of seem better because like they had to rely on
Practical
creativity
effects.
rather than like every and that's why going into the future when we just like especially AI could just like make anything in your imagination come true for anyone. I just think that the quality of things is gonna like suffer because it's like when you can do anything, it's like all of a
But do
sudden
you
it's like
think that'll
story goes
then
out the window.
create a movement back towards like I'm trying to think of an equivalent idea, but like so I'm ever since I found out about how movie animals are like abused to hell, like elephants, tigers, dogs, all of that. Since then, if I see a movie with digital tigers or something, I'm kind of like I'm good with this. This is I'd rather this than that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if this AI thing where we can have literally anything we imagine out of a box into a thing, I wonder if that'll create a backlash movement back towards practical effects where people are like, okay, it's a little janky, but I'd rather have this than that.
Yeah, and we kind of already seen that in like the past decade where it's all of a sudden we use all practical effects. Because it would seem like in like early 90s when it was like Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, that's when like
Everything
we could
was
all of a sudden
computer
do cool
generated.
shit. And everyone was like, oh my God, the CGI is so great. But like when's the last time you heard that? No one brags about CGI anymore because well now that you can do it, it's like, okay, but the movie still has to be entertaining. And there's so many effects movies that are boring as hell to watch.
Oh my
And
God, there's so many.
so now it's like practical effects are cool, and it's like and it's true. Like it's like I want to see effort put into it. Like if anyone could just like have Chat GPT spit out a script and then feed that into Sora to create images, it's like, well, that's you're cutting every corner, and I don't care to watch that. Like I want to see something that took effort to make, where it's like, yeah, these people worked hard on these costumes and these effects, and
You
these
thought
actors did
about it
this
for a long time.
performance. Like it kind of makes the movie better and everything. It's like criticism, like what we're doing. Like that's part of a movie too. It's like, hey, if the movie sucks, we'll say it sucked. But
It sucks.
that's part of the thing, and it just seems like just like technology, while it make things easier, it doesn't make it better. And even like with my movies, we put all this work into like, I mean, grotesque is hardly high budget, but we put a
But you
lot
put
of
in a
work
lot of
into it
work into it.
and then I make something like I'm Haunted, which was we kind of just winged it and did it for fun, and all of a sudden that is like a mega popular movie, and so it's like people would rather like respond to just someone talking on camera because they just like that story. So it kind of makes me feel good that there are people that are still interested in just like the entertain like the quality aspect of it, like the story and the writing versus just what images can you show.
Absolutely.
um,
I think writing is always going to be king. And I think like a well-written movie will always trump out over like the craziest visual effects and the craziest like
yeah.
things. But yeah. Yeah, it is very weird in the time. This conversation went a whole different way, but I'm just now like just like, man, we are heading towards some scary times and maybe like a return to primitivism, which I'm down
Yeah.
with.
Which I would honestly love that. Like it might even be like, man, anything on the internet just kind of sucks. Like just like YouTube
Well,
is
have you ever
flooded
heard
with
the
crap.
dead
So
internet theory?
I heard it mentioned. I don't know what it is though. Maybe you can enlighten me.
It's the idea that like you said, AI is just flooding the entire internet with crap, and there's like bots everywhere, like interacting with all this stuff. And then the idea that like eventually there's going to be like less and less humans on the internet, and it's just going to be bots and AI interacting with each other's shit.
Yeah, I can kind of see that because I don't know if it's just me, but like it just seems like everything on the internet is worse than it used to be. Like
Well, it's
YouTube used to be better. It just like Spotify used to be better. Just like everything, even like Marvel used to be better. Just like And
It's when
Netflix
it
used to be
became a
better.
job, when people realized that it was something you could monetize, and specifically when brands realized it was something you could monetize. And so they incentivize it in specific ways. Like everything is becoming like censored because like it's easier to show brands on things if you're not swearing. Like you've heard that thing. I'm sure you've heard it definitely. I don't know who else has, but like if you want your video to do well on YouTube, you can't swear within the first minute of the
Yeah.
video and stuff like that. Like those are constraints in a bad way, where like they neuter the product and they make the
Yeah.
product
Like
like
I can't monetize grotesque because violence and like one scene of drug use. Hot box, even though marijuana is legal, like in a lot of places, but God, no chance in hell. Like they just like have it in for that movie. But it's like, yeah,
which
YouTube's
is
like
crazy.
heavily censored. I could do like I'm Haunted is fine because it's like scary, well, it's like a horror, but it's not bad. But it's like, yeah, they're censoring things. Like it's like how we're going backwards to like the friggin' Middle Ages, and it's like, yeah, it's getting to the point that I heard someone say that like I heard some stat that like last year like bookstores are all of a sudden doing like super good because it's like, you know what, like I've heard like people are just like pumping out these like shitty AI books, so
Oh yeah, I've
Amazon
seen so many of those.
and Amazon had to put in a rule that you can't upload more than 3 books a day now. Because but even there's something like I don't know, like 100,000 books a day are uploaded and they're just crap. Bookstore, like some like publisher vetted the books to make sure they're good, and then the bookstore vetted those to make sure this is good enough that it could probably sell. So if you go to a bookstore, any book in there is of reasonable quality and you just find one you like. Same if
I'm
you go
gonna
to a
drop you
store and
one.
buy a DVD, if someone took a chance to like make a physical DVD, the movie is probably better than something you see online. So it could get to the point where it's like, what's the point of going on any streaming platform? Because your odds of finding the one good thing out of 100,000 uploaded a day. So it's like, you know what? Just like go to a play, go to something real, something physical, because yeah, it's just like the internet's dead. And like, I don't want to get down. I don't know a lot about it, but even just things like NFTs, where they're basically trying to
Oh yeah.
make it's like they're trying to make like a freaking JPEG image have value, and it's like it doesn't have value. It's like it's just a picture on the internet. It's crap.
It's
Like
yeah.
if it's something I could hang in my house, then it has value. But like I don't even like I mean I watch things on YouTube all the time. I don't mind streaming movies, but it's not as like rewarding. I like owning the thing in my hand, and I way rather watch it on DVD if I have it on DVD
The
because it's
convenience
like a
is
real thing.
nice. I'm really big into like I used to like buy albums. Like I used to buy CDs because I was just like I need this on a CD. It was nice to have the CDs, but it's also super convenient to have like all every recorded song ever made ever in the palm of my hand, right? Like
Yeah,
that's super convenient. But like, yeah, I don't know where we're headed towards. I really hope, like in my like tiny little heart of hearts, what I really hope is that we're gonna see a return to like indie that golden era of indie film in the 90s where like there was that a little bit of a reaction to what was happening and people were like fuck it, we're just going to make like super story driven super heartfelt films and we're going to create this little like independent film scene and this independent film festival scene where we show some of the best films ever made. I don't know. I would hope that that's something we're headed towards because everything's getting so big on this side. It's physics. Every reaction has an equal and opposite
yeah,
reaction.
yeah. I really hope that's the way too. Like I just art, the things that we do, whether it's music or movies, like it should have value to it. And it just seems like even now how we see like just the money you make on streaming is going down and down and down, and now it's like
Because
pennies,
the
right?
value isn't the picture you see on screen. The value is the story you tell and the like emotions you
Yeah.
create.
And it's like, but as soon as you put that on Tubi or whatever it is, all of a sudden you're one of a million, and and then it's like you're all fighting for eyeballs and attention, and then the companies that run them, they're making good money, but they're paying you like the little scraps,
Ten
and it's
cents.
like, so you spend years learning how to play guitar, and then you put your songs online, and then it's like, yeah, but AI can just generate like a million songs per friggin' hour and throw those on there, and then they get a bunch of bot accounts to watch those songs to so they get shared more, and then it's like, man, you want to live in that world? Like It's just like
It's
you
a
would see
scary
a
world. I
live
just
band.
heard
It's
about
so much
someone
better.
doing exactly that. I just
I
read
know.
about a guy who, like, we probably read the same story where he was like
Yeah, and
spending
he got
like
like
millions
charged.
of
He's like going to
dollars.
jail.
He did it because he was too greedy. Like halfway through the video, I was like, shit, how do I do that?
Yeah, but of course everyone's thinking that now, right? So if
Yeah,
everyone
of
does
course.
that, it means that there's going to be less money in that, and then
Well, you have to, that's exactly, you bring up a really good point. Like, how many people read that story? And then, like, out of the hundreds and thousands of people that read that story, 10% are going to be like, hey, I can do that, and like follow through and do that. And that just contributes more to this, like, yeah, the internet being one big dead thing.
it's kind of funny. It was when I was young. I mean, we're getting way off topic here, but when I was like I when I was younger, like I remember like I kind of like grew into the internet, right? Because I was probably like 16 or so when it really became like people had it in their houses, and I remember my buddy Joel, his dad was like a principal at a school, and he's like, my dad's school, like they just got the internet hooked up, and he said like we go there and use it. So we like went there and logged, and that was my first time ever like I'm on the internet. And the very first thing I ever looked up was a Beastie Boys like interview or something. I was thinking
Nice.
Beastie Boys. And back then it was so cool. And then as it like grew, it's like you can like look at pictures on your now. You can like listen to music and eventually
And
and then all of a sudden now it's like man, it's not exciting anymore. It's kind of like you have to search through the crap and it's having like a negative
100%. If
impact
you
on
weren't
people.
there, you don't understand it. The 2000, the internet of the mid 2000s was a utopia. It was
Yeah.
my Xanadu. Like it was like you could find anything. I was learning how to hack during that time. I was learning how to like download everything I needed. Like I was in whatchamacallit. I grew up in East Africa, Tanzania. Like we had very little there. But like from my tiny little computer in there, I got to experience an entire world. I got to learn so much. Like, yeah, the internet of the 2000s was something else.
Yeah, it just seems like that's the new way. The way it's like something launches, like Netflix. Netflix, everyone used to love it, and also
Oh
now
man.
it's like the tide is turning, and now they're advertising on it, and it's just like it's
Well,
not
I
the
just
same.
finished
And
watching a show at Netflix and I figured out that I learned that they canceled it after one season. And I was just
yeah,
like, that's what Netflix is known for now.
it's just like they launch something and it starts cool, and then somehow it's ruined. And now it's happening faster. It used to be like take like 15 years. Now it's like within 2 years, it's like hey, they make these
Everything.
Marvel movies everyone likes, and then now it's like they just drive that into the ground, and
Well,
now it's
like
just
Squid
like
Games. Like Squid Game season one, everybody was all about it. And now they're like talking about Squid Game season two, and I think everybody's like,
yeah, who
okay.
cares? Like, can you think of like anything like whether it's like music related or anything that's like better now than it used to be? It's like everything has gotten worse. Like every movie series, every TV series, every band, every streaming platform. It just seems like everything's getting worse. It could just be me. Like I don't want to be negative, but I just
The
don't
thing
like
the thing that does remain golden though is Hellraiser 2, which I'm
Hellraiser
still
2.
sticking to a 9 for it. I think
Bring it
it's
back full
really
circle. Yeah. And that's it. Like, yeah, those old movies, it's like, I watch a lot of new movies and they're pretty cool, but sometimes it's like, let's go back and watch the classics again. I'm looking forward to rewatching Hellraiser 3 and 4 because I
Oh
haven't,
man, those are my favorites. Those are those two are my favorite of the series.
yeah, it's just like, they're kind of more exciting than, whatever new Netflix horror movies coming out. But yeah, like back to Hellraiser 2, like, I just liked it's like they must have just had a bigger budget so they could really explore their
It
own
was like we're
lore.
gonna go crazy, yeah, but
Yeah.
like tastefully crazy.
Yeah, they didn't go. Yeah, they restrained it enough that it was just like very imaginative. And even like Dr. Chenard when he turns it into a Cenobite and he's like floating with that thing attached to his head and he's
Oh
got like
man,
the
it's so
the
sick.
knives. It's like it's a little crappy stop motion things coming out of his hands, but it still looks cool.
It
And
looks good as hell. And to this day, I just finished watching an hour ago. I'm like, man, that looks so cool.
and I like how like Freddy, Jason, Michael, they're all like they're not quite indestructible, but they're hard to beat. But I like how like the Cenobites, like he just basically slashes at them, just kills them, like they're
You can kill
nothing.
him.
And it was like, wow, that was really unexpected. I didn't expect the Cenobites just to die so easily, but it's they're not like all powerful. It's just like a an interesting take on it. And like Kirsty was awesome. Like I like how she continued on and was trying to trying to prove that she's not crazy kind of thing. And yeah, they just have like the core
They
story to
juggle
them.
multiple plots really well.
And even like Dr. Chenard, how it's like, they kind of show him as a kid, like he's always been a twisted, demented guy. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's like at the end, like when he goes to the hell world, it seems like he almost starts to regret it and have like, remorse. But then when he becomes a Cenobite, then he's like, fuck that, this is awesome.
I experienced true power.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too, because like in this, it's kind of like you have to be like evil to become a Cenobite. Whereas in part 3, it's just like, hey, you die, you're a Cenobite now.
Now, yeah, basically, like you can be walking down the street and now you're a Cenobite.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to part 3.
Yeah, so we'll review that one next, and then part 4 after that, and then yeah, leave a comment if anyone watching this wants us to review a movie. We promise not to get way off tangent, unless we feel like it. We might still do that, but
Coming soon. I mean, hey, listen, I feel like the tangents are the funnest part of it all. A good movie inspires good discourse.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Bye for now.
All right, everyone. We're back for another movie review on our as yet untitled review show.
I think that's what it should be called, the Untitled Review Show.
We're so ambitious. We just start doing things without any sort of forethought or planning a title or anything. Let everyone know what we're reviewing this time.
Today we're reviewing Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. See,
Hellraiser
this is the
3.
confusing part, because it's Hellraiser, then Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and then it's Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth.
Yeah, I think they just make it up as they go along.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, should we do another sequel? Yeah, we're going to do another sequel.
So what did you think of this one?
This is my favorite one of the whole series. This is the one where like I think they deviate from the John Carpenter lore as much as they possibly can.
Clive
But
Barker.
also, sorry?
Clive Barker, not John Carpenter.
Clive Barker, not John Carpenter. I was listening to a podcast about The Thing, so now I have John Carpenter running through my head. But Clive Barker, I think this is the one where they deviate from the Clive Barker like mythos as the most, but it's also like the most fun, the most over the top. Some of the acting is kind of like a little wonky at places. I kind of love how like
that's putting it nicely.
I really like imagining Doug Bradley in like the gray face stone paint makeup and standing in that giant's pillar and just like, all right, Doug, you ready? Action. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, this one there's a lot of people, especially like Hellraiser purists, I guess they would say they don't like it just because this is kind of like the Metallica Black album where it's the most like mainstream kind of one.
Yep.
But there's something a bit cheaper about it too, but I would have to say it might be my favorite too. Although I like the first two a lot. But this one is
very
fun.
Esoteric and very like how do you put it? Like they were influenced by like different scenes and like he was trying to tell you like something about what Clive Barker was about in those movies. Whereas I think with Hellraiser 3, they're not trying to tell you anything. They're trying to like make sure you have a good time.
Yeah, it's just a funner movie to watch. And the first two was like the Pinhead and the Cenobites they weren't the main focus. Like there was a story without them and it kind of revolves around them. Whereas this one, it's about Pinhead, the JP Monroe and but also they turned Pinhead into kind of more of like a slasher. Before he was never like full on killing people. Whereas in this one, he's like slaughters an entire bar full of people. And honestly, that scene is like probably one of the coolest scenes in horror. That's the one like when I saw it as a teenager where I was like, freaking Hellraiser's awesome.
Did you see he shoved like I guess at one point he must have shoved like billiard balls into some guy's mouth because like it was just stuff. I was watching that being like, I wonder if that's like a prosthetic they put on his face or like it was probably a prosthetic,
But I wondered, like, did he have a jaw big enough that he could fit one ball in his mouth and they put prosthetics for two, or
on the other side?
Yeah, yeah, the biggest drawbacks for it were the really shitty acting at parts. Like And the main girl in it, like she was pretty good, but she was just kind of like flat.
Not
Um,
Joey, but like the street rat that she
no, I,
picks
I
on,
found
right?
Joey. Well, I guess both of them kind of were, but like Joey, I guess, is the main character. Like the JP Monroe guy, he was a pretty big role. At least he was like, he's kind of a dirtbag, but at least he was like interesting to watch.
Do you know
Um,
he before that he had like a steady spint on General Hospital. He was like a
oh,
soap
really?
actor. Yeah, he had like a steady sprint on General Hospital, and then he got
I could
cast to
see it.
JP Monroe on Hellraiser 3. Yeah, you can see him as a soap star, right?
Yeah, he just has that kind of look. Yeah, and some of like the I can overlook it just for how entertaining the movie is, but some of the dialogue is so bad. Probably the prime example is when Joey, the reporter, she's trying to find the street girl that she met at the hospital the night before, where some guy was like horribly murdered by the Hellraiser chains. So she goes to this bar looking for her. She goes up to the bartender and she's like, "Hi, I'm here looking for a really pretty girl." And the bartender's like, yeah, over there in the back room." It's like there's one pretty girl in the
Yeah,
whole
there's
bar.
just
Like
one pretty girl hanging
he
around.
just like instantly knows who she
Oh,
means.
you mean
Like,
the girl that JP Monroe murdered? She's right there.
yeah. So there were
Did you
parts
look?
like that that were just cringe-worthy, horrible dialogue. But honestly, it kind of adds to the enjoyment of the film. Like, so I like a lot of them. It's like I don't really want it to be super good and polished. You kind of, especially these '80s, early '90s movies, that charm is like the somewhat kind of bad acting.
The charm is some of the bad acting. The girl who, like, the first kill, I think we're talking about the same person. The blonde girl who was first killed by the pillar. Her name, the actress's name is Amy. She's a Canadian actress. I had her name written down here. Amy Lee. Yeah, she's like, I don't know what she was doing in this movie. I
Yeah,
hate to talk shit about someone else's acting because, like, I mean, whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know what she was doing in this movie.
it was it was pretty pitiful. However, like her death scene, that was a pretty memorable death scene, getting gets lifted off the ground by the chains and gets her like
and
skin
just
ripped
like
off.
and just like fed into the pillar.
Yeah.
That was pretty slick. Did you look into the director's other film? So I guess before this, they cast him on the strength of he had done Waxworks 2
Oh, okay.
before this. Yeah, have you ever seen Waxworks?
I think I have at some point when I was younger. I just don't really remember it.
Yeah, it's one of those like late 80s horror movies, but he'd done like Waxwork 1 and then like he'd done a vampire movie and then Waxwork 2. And these were all comedies that he'd done. So then like they were gonna get the guy who originally directed Hellraiser 2, they were gonna get him to direct it again. But he was like, nah, I got other things going on. And he recommended Anthony Hickox, who is the director of Hellraiser 3. But they were like, listen, you're a funny guy. We don't want any funny stuff on this movie. It's a serious movie, no comedy. But you can still kind of see his comedy roots come through in the
Yeah, I
film.
think some of it may not have been intentional, but it definitely has like for how violent it is, like there is like it's not
Cartoony.
quite as serious as the other two. There were so many parts in it, like I mean I've seen it like, probably 15 times before, but for this review, I was watching it and I'm like, I'm really gonna pay attention to detail. And there's so many things that just don't make sense. Like, okay, there's this bar where like 100 people were just murdered. They have a scene on the news with the police and like ambulance are at this place. They obviously know about it. And the next scene is like the reporter going there, and there's no one there. Like all the bodies are there, but there's no police. They don't have it cordoned off. Like the
They're
police
just
just went
like,
home
yep,
for the
we're
day and
done
left
here now.
just left bodies laying. It just doesn't
Nope.
make sense. I know obviously
We
they did it for budget reasons, but
no, they're just no, the cops that don't you know, whenever they investigate a murder scene, they're like, well, we've done all the evidence collecting we need to do now.
yeah,
Clean up is somebody else's job.
these coroners don't work past 5 p.m., so they're gonna have to wait till morning before they come to take the bodies away, and they're just gonna let people from the street wander around the crime scene. Yeah, there is a whole lot of things like that that were kind of nonsensical, but
Yeah.
um, I did like the new Cenobites. I know I've heard people complain about that it doesn't make because in the old ones it was like you had to be kind of like evil, you had to invite it in to become a Cenobite.
These
Whereas
ones are
now
just
it's
kind of
like,
captured.
yeah, it's like, oh, Pinhead chooses you. You're the DJ at the bar, so now you're a Cenobite with CDs on his head. and that shoots CDs, which I don't know, I think is super cool. I think that the story changes because now that Pinhead has been like separated from his human self, he's basically like making his own rules. He's like even more evil than before, and he can create his own Cenobites without needing Leviathan's like help. That's kind of how I see it.
What do you think JP Monroe's Cenobite trait was? Because I was trying to figure it out. He's got like the engine in his head that's like
Yeah,
back and forth, back and
I don't
forth.
quite get that one. Like the others, like the camera guy now has a camera
Yeah, it
thing
has
in
a
his
camera
head.
for the eye. And then he
Um,
was like a good guy that they turned evil because then Joey was like, Terry. Or not
yeah,
Terry,
it's
but like whatever the guy's name was.
Doc. Yeah.
Doc, no, Doc.
Yeah, so I don't get why he turned evil, but yeah, they all have a trait that fits their personality. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it was just like because it looked cool, like
Yeah,
maybe they didn't put any
it's
thought
just
into
whatever
it.
was
But
around.
and I think Terry's too, like since she was like the street girl, like she was like a main character in the movie. I just wish she like her Cenobite was a bit cooler. It just looked
Yeah,
like
like the everything was cool except for the cigarette sticking out of her throat. I don't know why. For me, I was just like, come on.
yeah,
Like
it was.
you looked at
I
this
just
and you're
wish they
like,
did something
let's
a bit more. I don't know. I just wish it had been more creative or something. But um, yeah, they got a bit more into. You got to see a bit more of Doug Bradley in his like human form, and they had the whole. It was kind of cheesy, but it was they did have some like Vietnam kind of war scenes. They had World War I war scenes because the main
I like
character's
that
dad was
stuff.
in Vietnam.
I think this is the first movie I ever watched that involved Vietnam, if I'm thinking back. Like it's the first, because there have been so many movies on Vietnam and so many like things referencing that period of time. But like I think Hellraiser 3 is the first time I was aware. I mean, I watched MASH before, but like, I was a
That was
kid. I don't know
Korea.
what the hell was going on. That was Korea, but the TV show was in Vietnam, was it not?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it was Korea. I could be wrong, but
Maybe I'm wrong. I know the movie was in Korea.
yeah.
But yeah, either way, like this is the first time I was like, wow, war is hell.
I'm not sure if Hellraiser 3 is the most accurate portrayal of Vietnam War, but
No, probably not.
that's what they show in school to teach everyone. Watch a scene from
Yeah, they're
Hellraiser
like, this
3.
is what Vietnam was like. Cenobites. That's what we were fighting in Vietnam. Little people know this. It was the communist forces and the Cenobites. Communist Cenobites.
But yeah, Hellraiser 3 had some really just the parts where the Cenobites were walking down the streets and they're blowing shit up and fighting police officers. Like that was pretty cool. Like the limited budget they had and the kind of cheesy effects, but it did look cool. Even Pinhead in the church when he's pulling the pins out of his head. Like
Oh, it
there's
looks
so many parts that were like that's pretty cool. He doesn't may not make sense with the lore, but it's pretty awesome.
and I think that's probably what they prioritized to a certain degree was like, we're gonna like pick the scenes, we're gonna write scenes that we think look cool as hell, and we're gonna like just don't worry about the plot really.
Yeah,
The budget was an estimated $5 million American, I think. In well, when did this come out? This was 89.
actually it was like 92 or what? I think it was like early 90s. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right, 92.
Okay.
92. So $5 million in 92. That's pretty high budget for if you think about it now.
But also like things are just more expensive back to do those effects. The effects might be cheaper now, but maybe like the crew and cast and crew pay would be more. So it's hard to know like what you
Yeah,
get
because
for
that was all
your.
union then. There was like, yeah,
So it's just like I don't know how far that money went.
calculate. $11 million in 1992. $5 million for 2024 would be $11 million, which is kind of like a mid-budget movie now, I
It
guess.
seems like it because I remember watching the commentary on one of the Friday the 13th movies, and one of the actors said they're like the budget was like 12 million or whatever it was, and they're like that sound like these days that sounds like quite a bit, but like back then like that didn't go very far.
Well, I mean,
However, the
film.
money
How
was
much did
worth more.
film cost? This is
Yeah,
before
yeah,
digital storage or anything.
yeah. So there was so it's really hard to judge, but they had some money. I think the first two were quite successful, so they really put some serious money behind it. And some of it you could tell, like it looks like there's just you know explosions and fires, like you could tell, especially that last kind of 15 minutes of the movie, they really put a lot of money into that. It is held back by like the wooden acting, which I can't. Sometimes it works, like it's kind of like the Toxic Avenger movie. The crappy acting
Yeah.
is like what makes it.
It goes
Um,
from movie to movie. It depends on like how the rest of the movie fares up against the wooden acting.
but there are times like there's some scenes where just like Joey's talking to Doc, and it's like, holy crap, is this ever just the most boring, crappy dialogue and acting ever? If people watch it, they'll know what we mean.
Oh,
The,
they'll know what we're talking about.
yeah.
You watch it and you tell me if you believe that their character believes where they're at. But overall,
But
what would you rate this though? Like bad wooden acting aside, questionable
I would,
effects aside.
I think I'd give it probably like the first two a 7.5, but a different 7.5. Some things are better, some things are worse, but even though it's my favorite, I would rate it. It's kind of one of those things where it's like there's a movie that you think is a better movie, but it's not your favorite to watch. Whereas some movie that's fun to watch, it's kind of like comparing Billy Madison to Schindler's List. Like
Yes.
Schindler's
Yeah,
List is a better
absolutely.
movie, but I kind of Billy Madison's still awesome, but in a very, very different way.
The barrier to entry for Billy Madison and for our case Hellraiser 3, the barrier to entry is much lower. You don't have to like it's more fun, it's more geared towards entertainment, whereas 1 and 2 are more like trying to establish an atmosphere and trying to be dirty and trying to be like contemporary, like you have to invest a certain amount into the world. Whereas with Hellraiser 3, you don't really need to invest a lot into the world. All you need to know is he's a Cenobite, he kills things.
Yeah. Like I think
Cenobite thing.
if you watched part two as your very first one, you would be so lost and wouldn't know what the hell's going on. But you could watch Hellraiser 3 as your first Hellraiser movie
You'd be
and figure out
fine.
what's going on. I do like how they bring Kirsty back for like a little cameo. They reference the Chenard Institute, so they're not like starting fresh. They are kind of carrying it over. Plus, obviously, like the pillar from the last one, although the pillar has like different faces on it and stuff, but whatever. It could have changed between movies or something.
I always
Um,
remember that being like weird for me because I'd be like, yeah, wait a minute. Wasn't the pillar before? It was just a smooth thing, and now it's got all these faces. But I guess like as he traps more souls.
yeah, I mean, once you get into that metaphysical world, you can't make up any excuse for that. But one thing I did like about the movie is in the boiler room, they had the heavy metal band Armored Saint playing.
Armor
And
Saints.
people might know that John Bush, the singer, went on to become the new singer for Anthrax during the 90s. So heavy metal fans might get a kick out of that.
Well, this is also where like the title track, Motorhead's Hellraiser. That was
Yes.
an Ozzy Osbourne cover.
I didn't even know which is weird because I saw this movie when I was really young before I ever heard the Ozzy song, but I didn't know that Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead both had a version of the same song. I thought it was just an Ozzy song until I rewatched this movie and oh, it's a Motorhead
Well,
song.
there's a third version I think that came out recently that has both of their voices in it. They like
Oh,
did like a mashup kind of situation.
oh damn, I'll have to look that up. Like I think if you're gonna recommend one of these to people, like this is the most like accessible one
Yes.
where it's like the one that say like newer fans of like newer horror movies that may not like the old stuff more, they would probably find this one far more entertaining.
You'll have a good time at this one.
Yeah, like yeah, there's so many cool things in it. Like I like the fresh Cenobites because yeah, we saw like the Chatter and the Butterball and the female one. They were in the first two movies and then they all got killed. So just Pinhead came back. But then we got
Yep.
a bunch of fresh ones. I guess the only drawback in this is that the new Cenobites are in it very briefly. They come about and then they're killed within
And
a
then
few
they're
minutes.
gone pretty quick. Yeah.
But they do get to do some cool stuff, and it's so cheesy how those like cops show up when the Cenobites are like blowing shit up. So the Joey runs up to the one cop and she's like, "Oh my God, they're coming! Help me!" And the cop is like, "Okay, calm down, ma'am. You're gonna be okay." Meanwhile, there's these like three people blowing shit up that are like 30 feet away from them, walking towards them.
And the cops are
Uh,
just like, stay calm, stay calm.
but yeah, those were like some of the funnest parts. And yeah, like that scene in the bar where Pinhead appears and everyone just kind of stops and stares at him in the bar, and then he's like,
And he's
"Shall
just
we
like
begin?"
the doors blow out.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it's just everyone starts dying in the most like ridiculous effects way. But then even the part where like they run for the door and the door slams and then the chains come in and like tie the door closed. You see like blood pooling underneath the door, and you just hear the sound of like chains whipping people. And yeah, that was like one of the best moments in horror movies, I would say.
That must have been so fun to shoot. Like as the crew, it must have been so fun to shoot, but it probably was the longest
days on set. It was probably like a couple of days thing where they
I
had to
bet you
do.
more. I bet you it was probably like half the movie was spent doing those scenes because a lot of the
Yeah,
other
I can
scenes
only
were just
imagine.
two people together. They were kind of easier to do. Um, and there was this things too. They kind of changed. Like before, it seemed like you go to the hell world, and then Leviathan or whoever would turn you into a Cenobite, like they did with Doctor Chenard in that world. Whereas now it seems like Pinhead can just turn him into a Cenobite on Earth, and he even tries turning Joey into a Cenobite, where she gets lifted off the ground, and then that metal thing goes on her head, and then that
Yep, and like the
big thing comes out
BDSM
of the ground.
costume, and like it starts all like.
Yeah, so I think they kind of just make it up as they go along, or it's like each new director kind of like changes the lore. I don't know how much influence Clive Barker, if any, he had on this movie. I'm guessing not a lot. He probably just had some sort of like royalty check, and then he's
Yeah, he's
just
just
like,
like,
yeah,
all
do
right, I'll
whatever.
check this, I'll cash this check, and I'm good.
Because I know he came back as executive producer for part four, the next one.
Oh my God, he
Um,
was the executive producer for that one.
yeah, I think he had. I was reading about it last night after I watched it, and yeah, like I guess he had some more influence on it, but it still ended up getting all fucked
Yeah,
up.
that was pure. He was just cashing a check there.
Yeah, we'll discuss that one later. What would you give Hellraiser 3 on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd agree with you, 7.5, but like a different 7.5 because like some
Yeah.
things are good, some things are bad. It's an enjoyable film overall, so it's not a bad film. You're not gonna have a bad time watching it, but like there's things that could be better. There's things that like definitely have been I've seen done worse.
Like usually when I watch part 1 and 2, when I watch them I'll be like, yeah, these are better. But then I'll watch part 3 again, I'll be like, nah, this is better. Like it's
This is the fun one. Like you
yeah,
watch
they're
part
all
one and part
different.
two to prime yourself.
Yeah, they're all like good in different ways, but like say like you were on like a desert island and you had to pick one and that was the only movie you could watch over and over again the rest of your life, I would probably pick part three just because
Yep,
it's just funner to watch.
I would agree.
Cool. All right. So
All right.
next time we will be reviewing Hellraiser Bloodline, which
Part
was the
four.
so I think that's it's gonna be an interesting one. So I guess we'll end it there and we'll see everyone next time.
Awesome. All right, well, take it easy, guys, and we'll see you for Hellraiser 4 Bloodline.
All right, welcome back for another movie review. I'm Brandon Reines.
I'm Faizel Gentleman.
Hellraiser 4. It's called Hellraiser Bloodline. Can't remember if it's Hellraiser 4 Bloodline or just Hellraiser Bloodline.
See, that's the annoying thing. I was gonna bring that up. It's Hellraiser, Bloodlines, also known as Hellraiser 4, Bloodline.
Okay. Yeah.
So they
No
just gave it
confusion
up.
there.
Honestly, this movie is basically where they just gave everything up. I feel like there were 7 different people who wanted their way on this film, and they were just like, all right, whatever.
Gather you didn't really like it from your opening
Oh
statement.
man, this is not a good movie to me. I very rarely say that. Even as a kid, I think I saw this movie when I was 14. Like even as a kid, I remember being like, this is not good.
Yeah, it honestly, I will say that it has kind of grown on me.
Yeah.
Like the first few times I watched it, I hated it, but I would watch it semi-regularly when I would do my, Hellraiser run through.
Mhm.
And maybe because knowing what comes after it, this is an absolute masterpiece compared to some of the others. But it is like it was always, yeah, there's just so many things wrong with it. But even last
It's
night
got
when I watched it, it was like you could see there is a good movie in there. It's just someone or several people ruined it. But
it's got
it's
really good special effects. The digital effects are like for what 1996, they're really good. I'll
yeah,
give
there's
it.
that. There's a lot of cool things in it. It's just it's hard to follow. There's so many things that don't make sense. And there's even just like not even like overall storyline, but just like one scene to the next. Like I wrote down a few examples. The first part takes place like the 1700s, and then there's modern day, and then there's the future.
Well,
In the modern day part, there's a scene where the main dude is talking to the Angelique, the like Cenobite girl. They're together, and she's trying to seduce him. All of a sudden, it cuts to Pinhead, when he's threatening the wife and kid, and all of a sudden the guy comes running home like frantic, looking for his wife. But there's nothing in between. Like 2 seconds ago, he was with Angelique, so like, why didn't Pinhead grab him then? And how did he find out his wife was in trouble? It's like you could tell something was cut there because like there's just a massive gap in the story there.
Well, well, I'll get into this actually because this is all part of it. But I'm going to read. I wanted to read this specifically from the intro on the Wikipedia page because I just wanted to like note this. It was not screened for critics and received negative reviews. So even when it came out, they were like, we better not let the critics see this one. But like, I think they wanted to, so they made Bloodlines, or sorry, they made Hell on Earth Part 3, and they were like, all right, well, let's make another one. And then they had a script that was written, but then it got rewritten by another person. And then they had to like they got the one guy to direct it who was the guy who directed like Face Off, I believe. Oh no, he did the effects for Face Off. I gotta hold on, let me look up his filmography here. He did a lot of he's a special effects guy, but I think this was his directorial debut. So they got him to do this, and he really liked the script, so he shot the movie as the script required. And then the producers saw it and they were like, this is terrible. So they got a third person to rewrite it. And then they told the director, hey, shoot this extra footage. And he did refuse to. So then they got a second director to come in and direct extra footage. So the first director, it's one of those movies that ended up in the Alan Smithy, where like
Yeah.
if you don't want your movie, if you don't want people to know who you made a terrible movie, you put it under Alan Smithy. But yeah, it just passed through 7 different hands or something. So like it is disjointed because that's how it is.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know if it's anyone's fault. And I have a feeling it wasn't a writer or director, it was probably a
There's some
producer.
producers that are
Yeah.
that we can
'Cause they're
probably
like, oh, we
blame.
want more Pinhead. We want Pinhead in it earlier. And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense with our story. And they're like, well, move stuff around.
Who cares
Um,
about the story? Make it look cool and put it in the past,
yeah,
but also the future.
which it did. It's like it could have worked. Like I think like the stuff in the 1700s was cool. Modern day stuff was cool. The future was cool. Like there was a potentially good movie there. It's just trying to follow it and just things like it's like okay, the Angelique girl, she was like killed and then brought back as like some sort of demon. So it makes sense that okay, she survived the for
Through the
centuries
years.
because she's a demon. But the thing is, like the Adam Scott character, that guy Jacques, who was like the assistant, he survives for like 200 years as well. But why is he still? He's just a normal human.
His soul keeps getting reborn or some shit. It's
Yeah,
so
but he's like
weird.
he's the same age, but they don't explain why. It's just like he's alive, and then the next scene you see him in modern day, and then Angelique kills him anyway. And just things like so she's a demon, but she looks like a human. But why doesn't she look like a Cenobite? She looks like a Cenobite in the future after she goes
But
back to hell. But the thing is, Pinhead even tells her like, why don't you take off your costume and show how you really look? Kind of hinting that she is a Cenobite underneath her human form. But why is she the only one that doesn't look like a Cenobite,
it
but she does
looks
later?
like that. Yeah, well, do
Like
the other Cenobites have costumes too? It's
yeah, like, but she's the only
so
one. It's just like,
disjointed. They didn't release another Hellraiser movie
yeah,
theatrically after
yeah,
this.
in 25 years, how long it's been. And you can see why. It's like it could have worked. I got a few other notes of this thing. Oh yeah, right near the end, like kind of the very end, when the main guy in the future is confronting Pinhead,
Mhm.
and he's talking to the woman, like on the spaceship, and he's like, I have to go face Pinhead. And then she's running around being chased by the dogs, and all of a sudden it just cuts to a scene where that guy is facing Pinhead in a room.
Yep.
Like it doesn't show him like it just seems like they cut something out and he's all of a sudden face to face with Pinhead.
Well,
But then it turns
what
out he's a
is
hologram and he's not actually there.
what is the film running time? It's like an hour 20,
It's
hour
pretty
10.
short.
The original cut was 110 minutes, so just shy of 2 hours. And
There
then they
is
hacked it up.
it just came out, but there is they did release a new like I don't know, it's like a 4K Ultra or whatever it's called version of the movie called I can't remember its name. It's like something of something. It's like quantum of something or some sort of name. It came out like within the last year or two that apparently has all that original footage restored. I just don't know
Oh,
where to find it where it's not like $300 like it is on Amazon.
yeah, I gotta look this up. What? I did not know about this. Because I would love to see the original 10-minute cut.
It's called Quartet of Torment. Now, I'm not 100% sure of this, but I've heard something about it being like 20 or 40 minutes longer than the kind of Bloodline, but I haven't verified that.
So it is released by Arrow, Quartet of Torment. The Arrow is a DVD company that releases like old horror movies and slasher movies. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, it must be restored from like original camera negatives or something. That's nuts.
Yeah, because that might solve our problems. Like maybe if the story is made to make sense how the creators intended, it'll actually be a decent
It'll
movie,
make some sense. Yeah.
or at least close to make sense.
Well, if any of our viewers want to donate the Hellraiser Quartet of Torment over to us, we'd love to watch it. I would love to actually see a good version of Hellraiser 3, 4. God, whenever a movie goes to space, like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Jason X is one of my favorites. Like they went to
Oh yeah, I
space.
love it.
This one is not good. Did
It's in
Leprechaun go to space?
Leprechaun, yeah, in Leprechaun 4 he goes to space, and that was questionably good. I would say it's not very good, but not exactly.
I
The Leprechauns aren't the height of entertainment.
Leprechaun from the Hood and Leprechaun in the Hood too. Those are the classics. Those are the two best ones.
One thing I got to really dig at Hellraiser 4 for is the main like woman in the space part. Her name is Rimmer. Now, are you a fan of Red Dwarf?
No, no, I am not. But go
But the
on.
one, it's a popular British sci-fi show. Started in 1988, and it's still going. Like they still make them. And the thing is, the main character, one of the main characters in there, is named Rimmer, and it's like no, that name is off limits. You can't have a sci-fi thing
Yeah, in
named.
1996, they would have been super aware of that character
Yeah,
and that
like
show.
obviously they did it as a like homage, but it'd be like doing a space command type movie and naming your character like Picard. It's like
Yeah,
no, that
it's just
that
like
name is taken, or
too
like
on the nose. But again, I bet you that was some producer's note who was like, we need to make sure that people know they're watching a sci-fi movie.
yeah,
What's a good sci-fi show that people like?
yeah, it's or they thought they were being clever, or maybe they
Yeah,
thought that like, well, the show's not as popular in North America as it is in Britain, so they won't even know. It'll be our little
it's
secret
a
that we
little
have
Easter
this
egg.
thing that we only. It's like no, it's pretty damn popular among sci-fi fans. Like there's entire conventions every year for Red Dwarf. Like it's a pretty big deal. So that it just took me as soon as I heard that, it's like I spent the next few minutes thinking about why they ripped off the name Rimmer, and I wasn't even listening to the movie. So it was just too big of a
Takes you
distraction.
entirely out of it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
just
this
like
was entirely a movie, at least in my opinion, ruined by producers. Like too many people who controlled the ship, but not enough people being like, "No, we don't do this."
yeah, they just like some of it would just like it would happen way too fast, and then other
Uh-huh.
parts were kind of like slow, and it was
Slow
just
as
Pinhead
hell.
talking for a long time, and then it was just like, and then things wouldn't make sense, and then it was just like they would jump from one scene to another. Even at the end, one of the cool parts was when the Space Marine guys at the end were getting killed. That was
Yep,
kind of
yep.
cool.
When
And
when the
there's
hooks came into the guy's face and they were like, "Ah,
there's that, and then like the guy that was like pulled through the mirror, and then his
yeah."
body like split in half, like on the mirror. But the thing is, they put it like they have him like approaching the mirror, and he sees Angelique on the other side of the mirror, and all of a sudden they cut away to like some other guy running around, and then they cut back to the other guy to get pulled through the mirror. Why didn't they just do that all at once? Like it was so badly
Probably need to
edited.
cover some sort of cut there. There's probably something they hacked away, and then they were
Yeah,
like,
so they cut
"Shit,
to
we
a
need to
different
cover this
scene, like in
cut."
the middle of a kill. Like it was that was like amateur hour type cutting. And also at the very very end when Pinhead is being like killed, they never explained like what the hell happens to Angelique. She was
Yeah,
like a main character. And then the guy that had the twins that got their faces twisted together,
the the
that's
the, the twist.
Cenobite.
Yeah,
And
that
then and also I guess the dog gets blown up. But those two other Cenobites, they're not even
they
there
just
at the
kind of
end.
show up.
They came out of nowhere, and then it doesn't even show what happens to them. Like it's like the actors couldn't come that day or something, so they just filmed it without them. Like
I truly think there's like, yeah, all of these answers are on the cutting room floor. Like I truly think like the twins getting their hair twisted up because at one point they were like, we have to be with each other or something like that, and Pinhead was like, oh, don't worry about that. And then I'm sure there was some, I don't know why, maybe they were like, they had the footage and they had to do like special effects on it, and they're like, nope, too expensive. Kick this out.
yeah, it could be. And there's also that weird part at the end when you see the twins and Angelique is in front of them, but she's standing so that her head is blocking the like
The
effects
the
where
the
they
swirly thing, yeah.
and I think they just did that so they didn't have to like do the makeup. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that that's very ridiculous. And it's like maybe I didn't get the story, but like when they're in that main office building, when the two security guys, the two security twins get their like faces melded together,
Hmm?
like are they in real life or are they in the hell world? Like they go
Oh,
down this weird
yeah.
corridor that like they're like it's not on the like the map of the building, but there's this weird door. They go down it and then they stumble upon Pinhead and then he melds their faces together. But it's like,
Like
so is that his world or is he in the building? I don't
I
get it.
think it's a Silent Hill type situation where they enter the building and then because wasn't didn't part three end with like a building being made that looked like the Lament configuration?
Yeah. So maybe the entire building is a portal. But the thing is,
Yeah,
Angelique in Bloodline, Angelique lures that like fat guy down, and then she punches the pillar to grab the box, and then he plays with it, and that opens it up. So maybe that opened up like the entire building was now.
it became it the hell world. But then I still don't understand how like the giant Lament configuration closing in on Pinhead then closes the portal. Like I think I understand, but I don't fully know.
I think
Understand.
it's like because it was saying like the original toy maker tried to design a box to like counter the Lament configuration and it had something to do with mirrors and light. So in the future, he made that in space
It
around,
just
and
had
for
to be
some
bigger.
reason, maybe he just made it fold into a box to look cool. Maybe it didn't need to be a box.
I mean, it's
But
the best one. Some of the best like special effects of the movie is when the thing is like starting to fold, and it's like, oh, cool, that looks cool as hell.
yeah, they did. They
Did you
looked
know
kind
that
of
was?
cool, and I liked it that they killed Pinhead once and for all. They should have just stopped it there while they were marginally ahead, and then until
Oh,
they're
they were
just
like,
like,
we're gonna get even further from this.
so you
Did
thought
you know
part
the
four was
building?
bad? We'll show you how bad this can sink, and then they spent the next 20 years progressively getting worse.
Did you know the building that they shot in, like the spaceship buildings? Let's see here. Is the Magnin building, which is rumored to be haunted, and that was one of the buildings they shot in, and the other one is an abandoned factory, which is converted into the space station. Where do
Nice.
you find an abandoned factory?
I don't know, Detroit maybe. I don't know. Then did they shoot it in England or US?
Let's see, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where do you find an abandoned factory in Los Angeles? I gotta look up what the Magnin building is. I didn't look that up before. I probably should have, but like, yeah, so they shot in a haunted building, which is hilarious to me.
I was gonna say another little Easter egg from that movie is the main character, like the guy who kind of travels from time period to time period.
Yep,
He
yep.
was I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Killing Zoe,
No.
which it was the guy that co-wrote Pulp Fiction with Quentin Tarantino. It
Yep,
was that
yep.
guy's first movie. So it's kind of it came out during that like Reservoir Dogs Pulp Fiction phase because he was like Tarantino was like co-producer or whatever, but obviously Tarantino became way more famous. But Roger Avery
Oh,
made a movie called Killing Zoe, and that guy, who's actually a Canadian from Montreal, plays one of the bank robbers in that movie.
did you know that he made a sequel to Killing Zoe in 2019 called Lucky Day? I was planning, it was on my list of movies to watch one of these
What?
days. Yeah.
I was not aware of that. Like Killing Zoe is one of the movies I watched over and over when I was younger, and I wanted to start making movies. So a lot of it's influenced a lot of what I've done. I was not aware that there was a sequel, but
In 2019, Avery directed the semi-sequel, Lucky Day.
I am going to look this up right now.
It has Nina Dobrev in it, who's from Vampire Diaries. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
Okay,
Holds a 9% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Damn.
sounds good. Well, it's got a 5.1 on
Metacritic?
IMDb.
Oh, on
No, on
IMDb?
IMDb.
Okay.
It's been better than some of my movies. Oh, it's supposed to be like the Eric Stoltz character, but it's like a different guy playing him or something. Huh,
Okay.
that's interesting. But yeah, if
Kristen Connors.
anyone hasn't seen Killing Zoe, that's if you're like a Tarantino fan, it's like it's right along those same lines.
I
But
haven't
yeah,
seen Killing Zoe, so I'm gonna. Digimon Hansu is in it. I'm gonna watch this tonight. I'm putting this on my list because I have not seen this one. What are you rating Hell Bloodline? I can't even say the goddamn title of the movie.
Hellraiser Bloodline. I think I would give it just a solid 5.
5? I was gonna give it a 4 because it's the fourth in the series.
That's pretty good.
It's
Yeah,
a point for every step it's taken.
I try to see the good in everything, and I try to be positive, but it was really
This
pushing
one
it.
made it hard.
It's like it could almost be good if you just like edited all the cool parts together into a video, and then that was like it'd be like, yeah, that's kind of a cool video, but as a
Or a
narrative
video game.
story,
Like if you made the 12, 14, 40 hour video game, I think that'd be cool as hell.
yeah, I think there's enough
I feel
story
like
possibilities
in the
there.
late 90s, early 2000s, there was this whole thing where they were like, let's just make the movies as short as we can, like 70 minutes and 90 minutes, and anything longer than that is bad. But like, I like a nice long movie. Like, you give me a 120, 160-minute movie, and I can sit down and just like lose myself in it, especially like Hellraiser, man, yeah, I can see the epic they would have made, like it's in like old-timey France and then like modern day and then in space. Like if you had given each of those like an hour on their own, like it would have made an amazing film.
Yeah, like the part in like 1700s France, like there was cool stuff there, and that dude, I guess he was supposed to be like Marquis de Sade kind of
Yeah,
character, but it was so quick, like they just blasted through the story. Like the
yeah, he's
first
doing
time you
like
see
the
them, it's
summoning
like
of the devil and stuff.
yeah, it was just like there was no introduction of the characters. It's like that it was like a synopsis. Like they just filmed the
Here's what
synopsis.
he's
Like,
doing. He's bad.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
went so quick. And then there's other parts of like Pinhead where he's just talking with his usual bullshit, which is he says some cool stuff, but it's better in moderation. Like I don't want to hear Pinhead giving speeches because it's all just poetic kind of flowery
Like
bullshit,
keep
like
it to 3, maybe 4 sentences for
yeah,
him.
just give him a few cool lines. But now he's apparently before they edited it, there was more of like well, apparently he fought Angelique. They had some like they would actually fight, but they also tried to write in like a romance, more of a romance thing between them or something. And like there was
I kind of picked up on that a little bit. They seem to have some weird flirtiness with them for a little bit.
I don't know if that's just because like she kind of does that with everyone. She's
Fair
always like
enough. She
seducing
does.
everyone. Um, but it just like it was kind of cool to see more Pinhead. He has a lot of cool shots in it, but um, and it was kind of cool how like yeah, the dude got killed in like the 1700s, and he got killed again in the modern day. But it's like his descendants or whatever because he had his kid. Another thing that doesn't make sense is
Yep.
like it's like okay, so this Angelique woman lives from the 1700s for hundreds of years, unaware that this guy's bloodline continued. But in this small
Yeah.
town in France, like, wouldn't she know that this like fairly popular toy maker like had a kid? Like,
Well, that's what I always wonder is like, why now? Why did you pick this particular moment to like enact your revenge and kill the
I
bloodline? Why
figured that
not?
she didn't notice until she saw the magazine cover with that guy and was like, "Oh, his bloodline continues."
Oh,
But
yeah,
like, he
you
lived in
never
your
passed them in the street once. You never
yeah, like
like,
they lived in a not only that, but they were like from a wealthy family, like in France. Like they could have used their resources to like find this guy's wife, find out if he has a kid. They could see she's pregnant, or like they would have just like over the years heard news. But also, like, would they even recognize him? Like 200 years later, like would they really? He'd have the same last name, and he would be so visibly similar that they would recognize him on a magazine cover.
like I
Like it
said,
just
they're just like he's been reincarnated through the years. It's like, come on.
yeah, and it's like yeah, and then that Adam Scott's character like was like still alive and then dies in that scene, but it's like did he become a demon too,
Is
or
he
just
still
Angelique can
alive?
let him
Yeah.
live? Like
Was he already a demon?
however, apparently like Adam Scott, obviously he went on to be quite famous. But I was reading on Wikipedia, it said that he like even though the movie did poorly and was badly reviewed, he still credits it as like helping him get bigger acting gigs. And they said he even came
Uh,
back and auditioned for Hellraiser 5, hoping that like the producers wouldn't notice that he was in the last movie. And he said they never said anything at the audition, but he didn't get the role, so he didn't. He said he doesn't know it. He's like they might have recognized him as already being in the movie, but
yeah, because he's everywhere now, right? He just finished. Did you watch his latest series, Severance? That was really good. Talk about horror like shows. That was really good. I did not know he was in Madam Web. I'm looking at his IMDb now.
he might be the most like famous guy in that movie, I guess. Like
Yeah,
if
I think
anyone,
so. Like besides Doug Bradley,
yeah,
maybe.
besides Doug Brown. Well, I guess the like the wife in the main like the main modern day part. She was the girlfriend in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and she was
Ah,
also in Seinfeld. I remember her from Seinfeld.
she well, the director did the special effects for Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's probably where he got to meet her.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the gay one.
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. That's still a good one. I didn't like when I saw when I was younger. Like I was not. I don't know if it's because I was young or that era, but like I never even noticed any sort of gay part to it until people started pointing it out, and I'm like, now that you mention it, and now it's like I
It
don't know
is
how I didn't
pretty
think.
like it's a whole yeah, it's a whole thing. I think it's the same with like I kind of noticed it when I first saw it. It's the same with some movie Fight Club. Fight Club is so like homoerotic. Like when I first watched it, I was like, "What is going on here?" And then like everybody else is like, "No, it's the coolest thing ever." I was like, I don't know. There's some movies that like, yeah, you can. They're just so drenched in homoeroticism. But like, I guess mainstream America or mainstream world is just kind of like, no, no, that's just dudes being dudes.
And it's also like when I saw Nightmare 2 the first time when I was young, like I'd never even been to a bar before. So that
Ah,
part where he goes to like that gay club, it's like I don't know what the hell goes on at bars. Like it's just like, oh, it's some weird bar where they dress in leather. Like I didn't think anything of it.
yeah.
But looking
You're
back,
just
it's like
like, these guys really like this aesthetic. I mean, huh?
but it's kind of
They
like
all like
if
mustache.
you're not thinking that, I'm just watching it for the story, right? And then
Yeah.
but looking back, it's like, okay, I can kind of see where they're coming from. And disregarding all of that, A Nightmare 2 is a good movie. It gets trashed a lot because it's kind of the weird one of the bunch. Like,
Well, yeah, but I think it's good. Yeah, in retrospect, and especially with all the other Nightmare movies, I think it fits just fine.
yeah, it's still a cool movie. But it's like Hellraiser, right? It's like they change the rules for every movie, and they don't really make sense. Like in this one, Freddy shows up at a pool party in real life and starts hacking kids
I
up,
think
and
I think in terms of Nightmare, it's probably more acceptable for me at least when they change the rules because it's dream logic. So like Freddy Krueger exists in dreams, it's his rules. But like I get what you mean though. I see where you're coming from with that.
yeah, they do. I made up my own rules for Nightmare on Elm Street to like explain why it changes from movie to movie. But I really shouldn't. I know it's one of the common complaints if you watch like YouTube reviews. They complain about how like every movie it just changes the mythos of it and stuff. And some people it really pisses some people off. I can overlook it because it's the dream world and it leaks into the real world sometimes. So there's some like bleed
Exactly.
over
So
and
there's a little bit of rules, but they can change. But I yeah,
yeah.
either way, this movie was terrible.
Yeah, it's the worst of the first four,
The
but I
four,
still
yeah.
think it's better than five, six, seven, and eight. And I haven't seen the Revelation, Judgment, or the remake,
Yeah,
so
I
I
haven't
can't
seen
really
any of
compare.
those. I think I saw the remake once but I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, no, I've only ever seen the first four and I'm just like three, the first three were good. I don't know why anybody made the fourth one.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I bet you like because Clive Barker was on board for the fourth one, like he approved of the
Yes,
story, he helped conceive it. It could have been good. It probably looked good on paper, and then
cutting room floor.
somehow kind of like I read what happened with Exorcist 2. Like Linda Blair said that the script that she was given was actually good. And then somehow as they started making it, everything got changed and it turned into what it became and it was a piece of shit. So it's like
Basically,
and that's why I think like people have even said like when I, with my films, it's like if I'm the writer director, like there's a single vision. It's not going to get
yeah,
ruined by anyone that isn't me, really.
doesn't get diluted down at all.
Where as soon as you bring in like producers, other people, then all of a sudden everyone's making changes to it, and
Everybody
then
wants a piece of like their story in it, and then suddenly becomes eight stories cobbled into one.
yeah, and then you get a piece of shit like this. So it's although that might be I shouldn't say it's that. I don't think it's that bad. And like I say, like every time I watch it, I seem to like it a little bit more. Maybe it's just because I'm kind of like forcing myself to appreciate the good things, and I'm like mentally filling in the
You're just like,
nonsensical
yeah, ignoring
gaps.
all the bad ones. You're just
Like,
kind of
well,
like,
if you imagine that this happened in between these two parts, it kind of makes sense.
you're just gaslighting yourself into liking the movie.
But it's like yeah, we really got to watch that fuller version because yeah, if it's like they add a lot in there, maybe it'll help.
I bet you it's so much better.
Yeah, I don't know if I haven't heard from. Usually, I would have heard from someone. Someone on Facebook would have had a comment on it. I remember people talking about that it was put out and that existed, but I haven't heard any actual reviews. So
Yeah, I couldn't find
um,
anything besides just the release notes. I couldn't find like any information about what it's about, what's going on with it, or any of that.
yeah, I mean, there's got to be something on Wikipedia. But maybe if I could sell enough Grotesque 2 DVDs, I'll have enough money to buy it, and then I'll lend it to you.
Hey, then we can do a special review.
All right, so I think that's it for today, and not sure what movie we're gonna do next, but it'll be a surprise when we do it. So bye
It'll
for
be
now,
better
everyone.
than Hellraiser 4. See you, folks.